You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and today I'm going to be sharing some powerful tips from my recent free challenge, From Page to Stage. And the challenge was for authors, writers and wannabe authors to learn about how to turn their writing, their books, into speaking and delivering from stages in order to increase their book sales. I see so many authors, amazing authors, focus on writing their book, publishing their book, and then do a book launch, and then nothing. It's like tumbleweed. And I believe that many of these authors, not all of them, are missing out on a fantastic opportunity to not only be front and centre during their book launch, but right up through the writing process and beyond. And rather than leaving their books on the shelf gathering dust, that they can make their books work for them and boost their book sales for years to come through the power of speaking. And that's what the challenge was all about. And really, it's about helping them to find their message, find where they're going to speak, and to share that message, to get visible, grow their audience, and speak with confidence, turning their words, their written words, into opportunities. And so if that's something that you're interested in, then this episode is going to be right up your street. And I'm just going to share a few bits from the challenge and a few tips that I shared and some of the takeaways, really. So day one was all about owning your message and clarifying your author voice. And that's the thing, the book is just the start of your author platform, your author journey, not the end product. The book is basically it facilitates something else and for you to go on to do other things. And a lot of people write their books to share their knowledge, to share their expertise, or to share a story, or to inspire others, to motivate others, to educate others. And that's exactly what we do when we speak from stages. We want to do all of those things. So what I was trying to show them is that you are the message. The person behind the book. We are inherently nosy. Human beings are nosy by their very nature, just the same as dogs are nosy and cats are nosy as well. But we are incredibly nosy. And it's interesting that so many people hide behind their book rather than making their book work for them. And so by being the message yourself, people don't just buy books. They buy into the people that write them. When I go and look for a book in a bookstore or a bookshop or online at Amazon, I always read the author profile. I want to know about the author. If you go on holiday and you're like me, stand in the airport and then we go to the bookshop and quite often go into WH Smith and pick a couple of books to read on the beach. And usually for me, that's one topic and it's chick lit. But I like to switch off completely. Occasionally I'll buy a business book as well, especially if they've got a buy one half price on offer. And I always want to know who's written the book. I buy into the person behind it, and I want to know about them and what they stand for. And I always grab that book and I read the blurb and I look for the picture of the author. I want to know who's written it. I want to know what their story is. Even if it's fiction, I still want to know who's written it. So, yeah, you are the message. And the aim of any book or speaking about a book is to transform, not just to inform. So, I believe that every single book written, every play written, every stage play performed, every film you watch, there's always a message lurking in there, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. There's usually a message. And I think, thinking about what is the change that you want your audience to experience after hearing you speak is the same for a book. So you can actually transfer that message into verbal sound and encourage more people to find out more, not only about you, but about the message behind the book. So I encouraged my challengers to find their talking points, and I would say the same to you. If you're thinking of writing a book or you've written a book, find 3 powerful takeaways from your book that you could talk about all day. What could you talk about without even thinking about it? And these become your go-to topics for interviews, talks, podcasts, or just casual conversations. And then people get to know more about you and the content you deliver. And if you are clarifying your author voice and using your voice in a different way to sell more books, then practice what you're saying out loud. It's one thing to write it down. So many people write down what they want to say, but then when it comes to saying it, it doesn't sound quite right because you never write how you speak, which is why I always say to people, don't script, because you never write how you would say things. We say things, we finish half sentences, we pause, we jump from one topic to another. So practice is imperative in speaking in any way, shape or form. So you need to discover your rhythm when you practice and your confidence grows. So yeah, I think really that's how I've always spoken on stages. I've taken my knowledge and then I've shared it on a stage with a message behind it for the audience I'm addressing at that particular time. Now you might think, who is she to be standing here telling us about doing this with our books? You've not written a book yet. Well, I've written one. It's not published yet, but I'm working on it. So I'm going through this journey right now. My book is all about speaking, which is why I'm talking all about speaking. I'm building my audience now, ready for my book for when it's published and to grow those book sales. So every time I stand on stage speaking, talking about speaking, I know that I've got a book there and I can say, well, if you want to find out more, buy my book. And that book will work for me, and I'm writing it to make it work for me, and you can do exactly the same. Are you ready to own the stage? Join me on Wednesday the 2nd of July at the Leonardo Royal Hotel in Oxford for Mic Drop Live, the ultimate event to elevate your speaking game. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your speaking skills, this full-day experience is for you. There's interactive workshops on confidence, storytelling, voice control and more. Open mic sessions to practice and shine with a mic in hand. Expert panels sharing insights and tips are all about speaking. And networking opportunities with like-minded people. Plus, there's delicious hot and cold buffet lunch and refreshments throughout the day. Early bird tickets are available now for £97 until the 31st of May. And after that, the price increases to £127. But I'd love you to secure your spot right now, womanwho.co.uk/events. Now back to the podcast. So then it's all about finding your stage. And a lot of people say to me when I do speaker boot camps and I do my talks and I do speaker mic drop live, for example, an event coming up, people say, well, how do I get speaking gigs? How do I get speaking? Where do I speak? So You've got the message, but you need to get it out there. And this is the difficult bit, isn't it? Everybody thinks, right, okay, I need to do a TEDx now. It isn't that simple. You know, I want to do a TEDx. You can't just walk into a room and say, oh, can I speak at your TEDx next week? You have to apply, you have to go through a process, and it's very much in demand. So not every stage has a spotlight, but many stages have your audience in them. So think about where your audience already gathers. So start small. It could be your stage at this stage, excuse the pun, is a podcast or a panel or a Facebook group or even your own social media channels. Think of your visibility in layers. Start small and then build that momentum. And then go where your audience already gathers. What events are they attending? Where are they hanging out? Where are they? What podcasts are they listening to? And this is where your message belongs. And don't forget, you can always create your own stage. That's what I did back in the day. When I wanted to get more speaking opportunities, I created my own. I went to the local Chamber of Commerce and said, I've got a great idea for an event. Would you like me to host it? Then I went to another organisation and said, why don't we do this? Would you like me to help organise it? Guess who got the speaking opportunities and who gets to host them? Me, because that was a way that I facilitated that by offering my help to organisations. It made me front and centre and got me the speaking engagements. So you can create your own stages, but you can do that online as well. You can create an Instagram live or run a mini workshop or speak at your local networking group or local library, local bookshop. All those, the independents are easier to walk into and ask to speak. Confidence is built by taking one step at a time. The more you do, the more confident you become. And don't forget, what you're talking about is what you've written. So you know it inside out anyway, because if you're like me, you probably know your book word for word, forwards, backwards, and inside out and roundabout as well. Create what I call a stage list. So 5 realistic speaking opportunities that you can pursue over the next, say, 2 or 3 months. I love working in 90 days, 90-day planning, 90-day strategy. So if you took the next 90 days, 3 months, list 5 places you could speak to talk about your writing or your book. And it will really open up your eyes to what's possible. And, you know, I look at this and I say to my clients, think about where you can speak. And it's not until you start really thinking about it. So everybody says a podcast, then start listening to podcasts. And as soon as you put out there, I would like to speak on podcasts, people then say, oh, you can come and speak on mine. And this has happened for my clients so much when we've worked through where they need to be and where their audience is. We've then identified which podcasts are right for them to speak on. Or some of my clients, as one of their perks of being my clients, get to feature on my podcast. It's a great stepping stone and a great place to learn and to sort of learn to do their first podcast, which is a great thing for me to be able to give them. Again, my clients get to feature on my stages. Members of my academy get to speak at my events. It's how I propel people and how I create the space for them to shine in the spotlight and propel them to a place where they never thought possible, just by giving them that opportunity to speak. So yes, I've recently hosted one of my big signature events, my awards events, and I created opportunities for my members of the academy to be a podcast host. And listening back to some of their interviews, they've learned interview skills. They've been co-hosts on stage, interviewing winners and dealing with those emotions. That's another skill they've learned. And then I've interviewed them on stage as well. So we've had panel interviews, and 6 of my lovely members got to speak at Woman Who Live and shared their keynotes. They weren't selling from stage. They were literally sharing their knowledge and giving the audience actions they could implement and take away straight away. Very powerful, because what happens next? The audience gravitate towards them. The audience talk about them. Just imagine if they had a book and they were holding up the book at the same time. What do you think's going to happen? People are going to go and search them out and buy their book, and that's the magic. And then actually comes on to the last part really that I want to cover, and that's speaking into sales, because this is where the magic happens, turning visibility into credibility and ultimately book sales. People buy into you first, and then they buy into your book second. So speaking builds that trust so much faster than any sales page ever could. And I've noticed just by having a mic in my hand, it gives me that instant credibility. So it's about creating curiosity. It's about taking the messages from your book, not reading from your book. It's not about doing a sales pitch saying, buy my book, buy my book. It's about speaking to inspire, not to sell. And letting your audience think, oh my God, I want to hear more of this. Where can I find out more? Where can I find out more? That's where the book comes into play. So talk around your book, not quote from it. And don't just talk about the book, share the stories, outcomes, and the bigger transformation, and make it relatable to your audience. One essential tool that I've been sharing is your 60-second speaker intro. It's about who you are, what your book's about, and how you help. And it's best if it's clear, concise, and confidently delivered. And if you're going to practice one thing, it's your 60-second speaker intro, how you would introduce yourself to maybe somebody you're thinking of pitching to about a podcast or speaking on their stages. And lastly, when you're speaking, it's about giving people the next step. You want to either give them actions they can implement, but always that next step to be around you that little bit more, whether that's a QR code to download something or QR code to buy your book. If you're on Amazon, that's the thing, that's where you want to be sending them, because they're going to see your reader reviews. So giving them the next step, whether to follow you on socials, download the resource, buy the book, guide them clearly, give them an action to take. Speaking has opened so many doors for me. And that's why I've been speaking on stages for, over 25 years. But it's led me to other things. I've been paid to speak on stages. I've been paid to travel and do a roadshow speaking on stages for corporate organizations. I've been paid to be filmed and interview other people by major organizations. It's led to new clients. It's led to new partnerships. Imagine how much more that could be with a book in my hand. So that's my pathway, and that's where I'm going right now. So I'd like to encourage you to think about this. So whether you're a writer or introverted author or confident storyteller, I hope these tips that I've shared with you today show you that writing your book is just the beginning. And when you clarify your voice, your message, find the right stages, speak with purpose, that's when the magic happens and the real impact begins. So I hope this episode, which is slightly different, as I say, based on my 3-day challenge, has lit a fire in you and has encouraged you if you are writing or considering writing a book. If you've published a book and it's lying there and you're thinking, how can I promote this again? Especially if it's still topical. Think about, how can I engage into speaking to make that book come alive from the stage and turn your words into a powerful keynote? So as always, if you want to find out more, just get in touch, because absolutely you can plan your book launch to the nth degree, but if you don't plan other things around it and make that book launch all about you, then you're not going to boost those sales. So if you'd like to know how to boost your book sales through storytelling and through speaking from stages, then just get in touch. I'll pop the link in the show notes. And as always, if this has resonated with you, you want to find out more, share it on socials or tag me, and let's get more authors out from behind their books and into the spotlight. And I'll be back again next week. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning, and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.